Before I kick off this update, I just wanted to declare a few things. First off, this is going to be a finish. I'm going to start off at chapter 8 here, and it's going to lead into chapter 10. I did a separate save file where I had all the prisoners escape by themselves. That way it'll be more story related than it will be others. But the other thing that I had to do was make preparations for the next coming chapters because there's going to be a lot to go over towards the end game. But because of this, I have to make sure that I can get at least some of my units up to par in terms of their stats and everything. So, as of right now, the first thing to go over in terms of story is that once it doesn't matter how many prisoners you release. From a story standpoint, however, it actually does matter. From a gameplay standpoint, it doesn't matter at all. It matters if you want to get bonus experience. The second thing to note is that if you manage to if you end up with Micaiah being the one who faces off against the boss, then you'll get the declaration. And that's what I did in both files. I ended up finishing off the main opponent with Micaiah and then seizing the area as soon as all the prisoners had finally escaped. The other thing to note is that after you beat the boss and after you get to the final part of after you finally seize the level, there's a short cutscene between Izuka and them. Basically, Izuka murmurs that the Bjork are yada 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 blah 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 blah. But Lagoos are powerful and expendable, which unfortunately reveals what he thinks of them. Is like, oh, they're incredibly strong and expendable. We need people like that. Which unfortunately reveals one of the horrible things that this man has ever done, and it's barbaric what this guy does. Anyway, aside from that, um, the other thing to note is that when the cutscene begins, Tormod talks to Micaiah for the first time. Says that Soth and I were part of a mercenary group with Ike, and Micaiah basically trolls and says like, "Oh, great, General Ike again," and of course, everybody should know lately how much she really doesn't like Ike at this point because it's like, Commander Ike, so much praise. Why don't you marry him? Yeah, her snarky attitude as always. Aside from that, this is where it gets really important, however. And after this, um, Mareem goes to talk to Micaiah. Micaiah says, Soth is a lot different. When I was a kid, he tried so hard being an adult. It was adorable. And now I see Tormod and he's smiling and being happy and all. It's a lot different. And Marine basically jokes around saying like, yeah, why? Because he's around the little one. Yeah, they're really good friends. Um, and then then Micaiah makes a comment saying like, "It's been so long since he would act like an adult, and now he's acting like a child." And then Marine basically says, careful what you say, for people will interpret those words as if you're one of the branded." And basically, Mareem gives this kind of a death glare, saying, "I know who you fucking are. I can sense the Lagoo's blood in you. People often call you parentless, deny you any Lagoo's royalty, heritage, even Bjork status." And Micaiah, oh my god, she is scared at that point. And that's kind of where the chapter ends right there, is because like you have this death note of Lagoos and shit. So yeah. Um but now we're on to chapter 8, and I'm just going to talk about this real quickly. If I'm if I mute, that means something's happening right now. But also it's also because I'm taking care of something right now. But the other reason is because I'm trying to get through this entire part without talking as much as possible. So yeah. Anyway, now that we're here, at the Dayan Keep. Oh yeah, that I almost forgot. At the end of this chapter, Gerard, um, in the previous chapter, Gerard met up with this guy. However, Tormod also makes a comment saying, um, Tormod made a comment earlier saying, I'll talk about it later. And Soth basically said, hey, did you take care of the task that I asked you for? And what's happening is Soth asked Tormod to investigate to talk how things are in Dayan to Soniki and Prasoniki from the previous game, the Benyon Apostle. And Tormod goes to tell her about what happened. Needless to say, she got flippin' mad, and it was under an investigation that she did that it was found out that a group of senators is basically conducting actions here in Dayan in order to spread misinformation and dishonesty. So basically, Soniki found out about everything and is trying to find solid proof. Now, because of this is what's going to happen because of their actions. You summoned me, your grace? Gerard, there's trouble. The apostle has formed an inspection team. She's dispatching it to Dayan. Oh ho. I've arranged to meet with the Senate's Vice Minister, Duke Gatos. If we ask him the favor, I imagine he could discreetly sweep their findings under the rug. But in the meantime, you must obliterate the insurgents. Once that is done, we'll devise excuses. Understood, sir. And yeah, shit like this happens in nearly every fucking war. There is a lot of misinformation that happens because of documents getting burnt. Why do you think there's a lot of misinformation in the world? It's because people don't want to know the truth. And shit like this happens in a lot of wars. So yeah. Anyway, what's the plan? Will the senators be able to cover up this mess? If the inspection team and the rebel army ever cross paths, even the Senate won't be able to hide the truth. We'll lure the rebels to Shifu Swamp. We'll plant tales of a mass execution there, and they'll be sure to come. Then we'll trap the malcontents and wipe them from the face of the land. Basically, this is going to be a very defensive chapter. And there are a couple of units that won't be able to come along. Right here. Silver Maiden, help them! You must help them! Help who? What's going on? They're killing our men. I beg you, please save them. Remember the spreading of the mass murder? Prisoners from Jode work camp are being collected in Shufu Swamp and executed. Not only Jode, there is reportedly a plan to exterminate all prisoners in every camp and let the swamp conceal the remains. I've heard nothing of such a plan. It's a false rumor or an enemy trap. It may indeed be a trap, but if we don't investigate, we risk a mass execution. And what if it is a trap and they vanquish the Liberation Army? The dream of restoring Dayan to glory will die instantly. For the good of Dayan's future, we must ignore this threat. I'm actually with Izuka on this one in a sense. I'm also with Makaya in a sense. In a situation like this, you don't want to ignore the threat. However, if you pull in too many troops, then everybody there will be mass murdered, basically. If you have too little troops, then you'll need your best warriors there. So it's a pretty bad situation. And it's a swamp. So if anybody's ever played in a swampy area in a Fire Emblem game, you know how bad things can get. Anyway, I understand, and that's why I won't take any troops. Only myself and my old friends will go. Micaiah, if you refuse them your permission, I will go alone. Stop right there, little lady. I will not authorize this action without the prince's full approval. Izuka, let her do as she wishes. Please, she hasn't disappointed us yet. My prince, fine, but I can't help but feel as if these children are running your army. Okay, this little dynamic here is very interesting and very hypocritical. Because that's exactly what Izuka is doing. He's trying to run the army himself. And even though he's technically in the right in this sort of a circumstance, I honestly think that this situation actually does warrant a little bit of baiting the trap. You kind of have to bait the trap. And the good news is, it'll be worth it that we're doing this, because not only will we be getting reinforcements in the form of a couple of allies that will be appearing, but also, in an army standpoint, if you can bait the trap and then set loose your best soldiers, then you'll be able to squash this little thing from happening and provide evidence of something happening happening right there. Now then, info section. We're just about ready. Let's talk to Tormod and Micaiah? Sorry. Hey, remember our promise from 3 years ago? There are no secrets between us. Soth, Mareem knows that I'm older than I look. I see. Well, don't worry too much. You can trust him. I'm sure of that. He seems very trustworthy. But what about everyone else? What would they think if they knew all of my abilities came from the mixed blood running through my veins? Blood they consider cursed. Micaiah, stop. Right now, when they look at me, they have love and affection in their eyes. But would they look at me the same way if they knew? I don't want to find out, Soth. I don't think I could bear the truth. You know we can stop. What do you mean? Look, this impossible situation to begin with. You've always led such a secluded life. Ever since you were thrust into this position, I worried that the pressure might get to you. You're right. I knew you would turn out like this. Despite that, I accepted the job. I can't stop now. But Micaiah, listen, Seth. I realized something after Dan lost the war. What's that? I realized how much I loved my country. And during the war, I spent a lot of time with people in Dan while I was waiting for you to return. After we lost the war, all our cities and towns had been reduced to ruins. We had to help each other to cope. We supported and comforted each other. That's how we survived. You never mentioned this before. I've been secluded so long. I had no idea people were so strong and kind. No one knew who I was, but they helped me because I was from Dayan. They were so loving. They were my friends. And now you won't leave them. I was touched by their kindness. Now I'm scared to lose it. Very scared. Micaiah, I suppose this isn't the time to worry about such things. If my power is needed to liberate Dan, I will stand my ground and fight. Well, not to spoil your resolve, but if things get too hot, I'm just gonna grab you and run. I can just imagine that, just like him, like picking her up and dragging her out of the place. So, friends in Dan are important, but not as important as you are to me. Remember that. Alright, thank you, Seth. And here we go. Sorry about this, Lady Micaiah, but just this once, I agree with Lord Azuka's concerns. I completely understand. This is my fight and mine alone. Please keep the prince safe, General Taranio. I'll protect Micaiah. I've enlisted extra help too. We'll make it back in one piece. That help will appear pretty soon. I place my trust in you, Soth. Best of luck. Oh, I nearly forgot. You should take this. What a peculiar staff. What does it possess? It's a restore staff. It will help you recover from poison, sleep, or paralysis. That is going to be very important. Bandits have weapons known as venom weapons. Venom weapons tend to have a poison imbued in them. So this is going to be very useful in that chapter. You need Laura in this case. Enemies will use every method they possess to destroy you. It is best that you be prepared for that eventually. Thank you, Taranio. We will return safely. I know. And I know you saved the hostages too. So yeah. And now Vika. I wonder where Boss is. These tents all look the same. Hello, Vika. Can I help you? Vika? You always run away from me. Did I do something to offend you? No, I'm so sorry. I can't explain why this happens. I get so jumpy around you. There's just something about you. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think it's Lagoos tend to be very distant from people who are Bjorn, who are the branded. And unfortunately, there are physical responses to it. So because of this, because there are physical responses, people make up emotional claims about it and make these accusations. However, I think in this case, Vika trying to fight it is a good indication of her youthfulness, so to speak. Oh. Oh, but please don't be sad. It's not you. It's me. I get confused sometimes. I really admire you, and then I get a bizarre feeling and it's alright. Sorry to bother you. No, wait. Hmm? I want to overcome this. I don't like that I feel I must avoid you for some unknown reason, but I know how painful it is to be feared. I'm really, really sorry. Let's be friends, okay? If you can forgive me, that is. Of course I forgive you. Thank you, Vika. I'd be honored to have your friendship. Here, take this as a token of my friendship. Please take it. I'd like you to have it. What a beautiful figurine. The goddess looks so serene. Carry it with you. It'll bring you good luck. I met my boss in Marine thanks to that figurine. Thank you, Vika. I'll cherish it. I'm glad you like it. And it's an Ashra icon. This will help boost luck. And now for the shop. Ant- Antioxidant. So, remember the pure water from earlier? Antioxidants help with poison. And you definitely need that at this point. Oh yeah, and here's the other thing. Worm Slayer. Worm Slayer is essentially a dragon slayer. So you want this. You definitely want this. Anyways, from this point on, I'm going to continue without dialogue. So here we go. Throughout this chapter, I'm just going to continue with no dialogue until the next chapter. That one's going to be a major one. Alright, so first thing to point out is that I was correct. When you get to the level of a sage, the only thing you can do is master every other skill, so to speak. Once you get to Arc Sage, however, that's another story. Once you get to Arc Sage, then you can do either staff or knife, for example. Yeah. And now we get to the warrior. By this point, I want to have as many post promotes as possible, so to speak, as many promoted units. That way, I'll have a better chance at getting their stuff up to snuff. Now then, now we need to check. So, warrior doesn't outright give you a bow ability, I guess? Huh. Now that we finally got that chance to give him an open slot, trust me, you'll love him having a beast foe in the future. He's very useful as a beast slayer. Renewal's a tough one. I never really knew who to assign that to. Paragon's not really needed because, you know, that. Ferranio's resolve, however. There's one thing I want to talk about it. It can raise strength, skill, and speed by half if you're less than 25%. That's even lower than Wrath. In the previous game, all you had to do was get below 50. In this game, 20. That's a very hard area to cover. Okay, so the only thing it really does for Nolan... Okay, I see now. Second tier classes most of the time seem to allow higher S rank, basically. So it allows you to get your weapons to S rank, basically. The third tier class is where you can probably get the extra utility, like mages being able to use staffs, Nolan being able to use bows, Laura able to use light magic at a higher level. I know that her evolution does allow her to get to that level. I need to get her there already, honestly. Now then. And yes, this chapter is called Glory Unwanted. And trust me, it's definitely there. Good, you may begin. Here, have a swim. Help! Help! Stop! You're that bleeding heart fills. We are Dayan Liberation Army. Everyone hold tight. You'll be safe soon. Silver-haired maiden? The Savior! Whether they suspected a trap or not, they're here. Brazen fools, all hands, take battle positions. Silver-haired wench, I'm going to drown you and all of Dayan's hopes in these filthy waters. You've no escape. And if you have any horseback units, they're going to suffer in this map. So, it's a trap after all. Don't get too smug, you cruel cowards. We have a little something up our sleeves, too. Porbot, here's your chance! Boom! Lady Nyla! Volug! Oh, and by the way, that white wolf is Nyla. Stop humans! They're everywhere! How? Raphael, even you came to help? Vigor! What happened just now? What was that strange song? That was Vigor, a Heron Galdor that can re-energize our allies in a fight. Don't be distracted. Let's set our formation while we can. Pay close attention to this, by the way. Notice right here, Fiona, Jill, and Piranio are not here. As much as I like him, I may not have him for this one. Instead, we're going to go Edward. And instead of Zahark, we'll go Ileana. Yeah, we'll go Ileana. Now then, I believe it's time to fight. Now, rescue tutorial. They should have given this to you earlier, so to speak. But anyway, rescue tutorial. If you don't have the special skill Savior, then you're going to be at a disadvantage, because what rescue does is it limits your speed, your skill, I believe, as well as something else. Yeah, it lowers 3 different stats. You because whatever, I guess. Anyway, you can rescue people. However, it'll lower your stats. You want really tanky people like, say, Marine or Nyla, for example, because oh my god, she is a beast. Look at that. Look at those fucking stats. Volley isn't too half bad, as we saw earlier. And Raphael, one thing is for sure that Seraphirope is going to come in handy eventually. I gave that shine barrier mainly for a strategic purpose, so that I can so that I could prevent certain units from getting close to him. So yeah, because I mean, look at that defense. You really are going to need to protect him. Resistance is pretty good, but yeah. Anyway, now that we got this out of the way, time to keep my mouth shut. Alright, now for the point of reference. Priestess of Dawn. Well, that's her final class. Once she's gonna be having a forced promotion towards the end of the game. In that sense, um, the name of her class will be called Priestess of Dawn. Radiant with divine protection is a reference to this game specifically, so I just wanted to point it out. Priestess of Dawn is her true name, so to speak. What could they be celebrating? And there you have it, the Priestess of Dawn. However, this causes a problem in the future. Mainly the leadership. Because of her acts today, people look to her as the leader, rather than Peleus. This sort of thing happens in wars too, when trying to make a new leader for a country. You build up this guy, Peleus, to be the leader, but then a general who commands more authority gets more authority out of his constituents. This creates a blood feud, so to speak, and therefore this moment right here will be the catalyst that will make people believe it. Oh no. Mareem. Remember how I said about something vile that Azuka did? And the creation of the feral ones? Take a look. Little one. This happens over and over. He suddenly transforms and he growls like he's losing his mind. And if I grab him and yell his name again and again, he returns to himself, but then it just starts over. And when he's growling, his eyes, they look as if one of them is looking at me. Them? One of them? One of who? You can't mean. No! Help him. Oh, and by the way, the reason why Sooth is saying no, he knows firsthand the bullshit that went on in that twisted tower. So he knows what's happening. I will die before I let you go feral. Look at me. That song. If anybody understands the song that I was singing, you know exactly right there. The Galdor of Rebirth restores twisted bodies and souls to their proper state. He will be all right now. Thank you. Without Marim, life would be terrible. What was that song? It was different than when he sang before. It was the Galdor of Rebirth. I heard it once before in the war. Micaiah, what's wrong? I feel odd. Maybe it was the song. I'm shaking for some reason, but I'm truly glad that he'll be alright. And this plot point. Okay, I just want to address this. Her shaking is ironically there are memories coming back to her. There are going to be memories that are going to appear that you'll never be able to see. And they don't appear even in a second playthrough. However, let's just say that for Marim for her to be shaking like that, there's gonna be a big plot point of her being able to see the future. Shit's gonna get cloudy soon. Pharaoh once? In the Mad King's War, Dane's military developed living weapons. They were called Feral Ones. Lagoons that had been warped and twisted by a terrible experience. And here we go. Terrible, you say? Do you mean to refute the highly effective results of my brilliant research? Then it was you! You secretly gave Miriam the drug to turn him into a feral one! And what's wrong with that? Maintaining constant battle strength in beast state. How pleasant! Izuka is like, imagine if an evil guy said the words that we would say about our units. It's like maintaining constant battle strength in beast state. Like in theory, it would actually work, but in theory, it would be really good to have a Laguz unit that would be there forever. But to get to that point, you had to basically obliterate the personality. How dare you! Transforming Laguz into feral ones dramatically shortens their lifespans, destroys their sense of self, and they do nothing but fight until they die. And you gave Marim that drug! Pawns need no sense of self. It's only natural to sacrifice soldiers for victory and role. Oh, I cannot help myself. Fuck this guy! Fuck him! Fuck him! You twisted maniac. You're the lowest. Everybody wait. Izuka clearly did a terrible thing to that Laguz. I apologize. Tormod, I'm truly sorry. He will not use the drug again. So please, try to forgive him. Peleus, we must not have royalty bowing and scraping before swine like, that's enough! Let him go. Tormod's in the right, honestly. I see. Is that true? Yes, Apostle. Our occupation forces have engaged in appalling and inhumane excesses in Dayan. These excesses were perpetrated entirely outside the knowledge of the occupational governor, Duke Numida. I come to you penitent, failing my duties as governor. I, Numida, share a measure of guilt for this disaster. I am prepared to take appropriate punishment. However, I feel that freeing the people of Dayan from the clutches of our oppression is our most urgent task. Urgent, you say? Then we must make haste. We will forthwith convene an inspection team and request a meeting with the army led by the orphan. We will assure them of Benyan's intentions. Then we will immediately address the occupation force's tyranny. Excellent. In that case, please deign to allow me, De Lacane, to lead the inspection team. The soldiers who have stained the Empire's name will be toppled where they stand. They will not live to return here. That is unacceptable. I will decide the soldiers' punishment only after hearing their sides, and I have chosen to appoint Sephirin to lead the investigation. Is that acceptable? I hear and I obey, my Empress. What? But, Apostle Sanaki, this is a dire situation. Accordingly, I judge the Prime Minister to be more suited to the role than you, Lacane. That is all. Lord Lacane, what shall I do? Duke Mita, my friend, I'm afraid you must sacrifice every last Benyon in the Imperial Army. That's ridiculous. Plus that spoiled brat and her cunning little schemes. You'll regret this, Sanaki. Hee hee. Poor sucker. Now then, one survives. This is going to be crazy. Listen and be amazed. Big news afoot. The Apostle is spending an inspection team to investigate the occupation army's abuses. Really? She sent me a message that preparations are finally complete. But wait, it gets better. She also issued an imperial edict to the occupation forces telling them to cease all military action. Does that mean the fighting is over? That we've won? First off, this is a Fire Emblem game. There is never a peaceful chapter. Indeed, it's hard to believe it's over. It almost seems too easy. And best of all, Duke Persis is leading the inspection team. We'll be home free the moment they arrive. All worries are over. Duke Persis? Lord Sephirin? So Apostle Sanaki is dispatching one of the Empire's greatest men. I'm gonna complain about that statement. Shit's gonna become haywire. Actually, I could. Yeah, all I have to do is really reset it. Aren't you going with us? It's mostly your doing. We'll hold back. Let you take the glory. It's Izuka, isn't it? You don't want to come because he'll be with the prince. Well, yeah. All right, but wait here. We'll come right back once we've announced the good news. In the Dayan Keep. in light of which Her Imperial Highness Empress Soniki has conveyed to you this edict. Occupation forces are to hereby lay down all arms, convene in day and keep, and await the inspection team. Huh. Duke Numida maintains that your forces performed alleged abuses independently, in flagrant violation of his orders. The Apostle, in her mercy, will hear your testimony. Do not amuse your magnanimous spirit and lose your small advantage. What a magnificently ruthless maneuver. I didn't know Numida had it in him. Disowning the entire occupation army and framing me for their actions. Brilliant. So then the game is over. Might we at least drag Numida down with us? Not a chance. We are proof that Duke Numida, and therefore the entire Senate, is corrupt. No doubt they'll work together to silence us. Besides, there's more tantalizing prey than those tottering relics. If I'm to fall, so too should the one who appended our plans and drove us to this dead end. That girl. Ooh, I like that. Our final mission. You create a diversion with the troops tonight after dark, and I will seek our target, the girl's silver-maned head. So, Numida is essentially screwing over his army. Silence! Prince Peleus would now like to favor you a word. You may begin, my prince. Am I dreaming? Everything looks delicious. What should I eat first? Everyone, you've done a fine job. Once the inspection team arrives, Dane will be free once again. In anticipation of our emancipation, I invite you to eat and drink to your heart's content. It should be noted that if you were playing this game for real, then you would be hearing like roars of applause. And now, Zoth, how unusual to see you alone. You here to see Micaiah? Yes, at least I intended to, but she is quite popular, isn't she? She's always so busy talking to everyone that I can never get near her. They're your soldiers. Tell them to get out of your way. I can't do that. My job is to be the symbol of the liberation. And therein lies the problem. Peleus is merely a figurehead at this point, while Micaiah is the one who draws in the attention. People are paying attention more to her than they are to him, and this creates a very big problem, as well as a very good problem if, let's say, for example, she was leading the army. The problem is she's not the one who's dubbed as the royalty, it's him. Prince Peleus? Oh, don't worry, South. I'm not jealous, if that's what you're thinking. It isn't like that. Although I have to admit, I do envy her from time to time. Huh. I almost forgot. These war funds are for you. But the war is over, and besides, this is a small fortune. Share it with the troops if you like. I may not be much of a leader, but I appreciate the sacrifices everyone has made. They deserve something in return. Divide it up as you see fit. I trust your judgment. You should be the one to give the troops their reward. And now, Jill. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Lady Micaiah? Hello, Jill. What are you doing here? I saw you walking over here as I was heading back to the tent. Is something wrong? You shouldn't be leaving camp by yourself. I'm just exhausted from talking to so many people, but there's no need for concern. I just need some time to myself. Now that you mention it, you do look pale. Why not rest in your tent? It'd be much more comfortable. I don't want Soph and the others to know how tired I am. They worry too much. Ah, I can see that. Soph seems so detached from everything unless it involves you. He gets so worked up, he strikes me as a bit overprotective. We've always lived by ourselves, just the two of us. I don't think he can help it. Then I shall bring you some medicine, and I'll make sure no one sees me. I'll meet you at your tent. Oh no, that won't be necessary. Do you see that tree? I'll be resting over there. I should recover in no time. But I'll be safe. We're still in camp. Besides, don't you have an errand of your own to take care of? It must be really important to leave the feast so early in the evening. Oh no, not really. I just thought I'd write a letter to a friend, that's all. That friend will be appearing in part 2. Oh, I remember now. His name is Har. Yeah, okay, so Har is Jill's boyfriend. We'll be seeing him in part 2. To the man you told me about? The one you run a wyvern delivery service with? Well, yes, you know everything, don't you? You're going to tell him that the fighting is over, right? Yes, more than anything, he despises trouble. He made a delivery to Pinion and never returned. I'm sure it's the war that has kept him away. Really? Well, indirectly at least. To be honest, it's probably more about his napping. Give him a few minutes of free time and he's sure to close his eyes and drift away. The war would certainly disrupt his sleep schedule. That is interesting. And well deserved. Well, you should write him and let him know it's safe to return. Are you sure you're all right? You're not pushing yourself too hard? I'm fine. Please, don't worry about me. All right, I'll let you relax alone then. Oh, take this, by the way. It's a pass scroll. It might come in handy. Please take it if you like. Thank you, I will. Pass. Now, if y'all want to know what this skill does, it grants the ability to pass through enemy occupied spaces. This can actually help in the next chapter, especially since you'll probably be needing this. However, because it's Radiant Dawn, if I don't want Micaiah to be the only person that uses it, I can give it to someone else in the end game. Oh yeah, and did you notice? Look, Micaiah is the only unit here. So, first things first. I need to check something actually. And last but not least, let's see. Ooh. Hmm. You know what? Actually, anyone who gets this reference, mwah. So, if anybody's wondering what this chapter is, prepare to be shocked. Whew. Yune, what is it? You didn't need to slip away from the bank at 2. Silly you. You're kind of a mysterious bird, you know that? How is it you can fly around even at night? Oh, Yune, for some reason I feel so tired lately. But it won't be long. I'll go back home to Nevasa and then save Dan. So you escaped the idiot's ball to be alone. How trusting of you, silver-haired maiden. No, I'm sorry, priestess of dawn. If you really can work miracles, you'd best work up one for yourself now. What? Vineyard soldiers! She's the only one. But thankfully. Alrighty, let's begin. General Gerard, why are you here? I'm doomed, thanks to you. But if I have to go down, I'm taking someone with me. The Vice General to the Dayan Libertarian Army, the revered Priestess of Dawn. Even if you kill me, the Kingdom of Dayan will be reborn. As long as the Prince survives, the people will fight. And you remember that little thing I said earlier? Ha! The prince? He's a sham, a travesty, a clod of mud no amount of polishing could shine. The real jewel, whose radiance attracts the people. All right, I'm back by my from my little ordeal, and now, ooh, ooh, this part. Oh my god, I love this chapter. Who are you? Sorry. Back again. Be at ease, maiden. I shall not let him harm you. Sure. I was once one of the 4 horsemen serving the army of Old Dayan. If you recall the name of the Black Knight, you will withdraw from this place at once. Right, that's precious. You're the legendary Black Knight? Maybe you haven't heard. He died in the war. Arrogance is bliss, Gerard. But let's put your claim to the test, if only to indulge my amusement. Then have at me and learn your folly. In due time, but before I bother, why don't you have a go around with my restless minions? Douse the torches! Maiden, I will be your shield. Remain by my side. I will. I know I can trust you. Fog of War. What is this chapter? Basically, the enemy units are going to be hidden in the fog. When he said douse the torches, he literally means it. There's an item known as torches that you can use to light up an area and view this thing. In the previous game, there was actually a staff that could do this job as well. However, it's kind of unused because I don't think like enemies actually use it. There might be a couple of enemies that have it, but that's about it. But anyway, a torch staff, which can be very useful. Um, anyway, so because of this, we're the only enemies that don't really need to be found. So I guess that's why they didn't really use it. But anyway, this is a darkness map, and therefore Micaiah is in her element, as well as the Black Knight. Do not worry, this guy exists. He now has an S4 Lance because he's a custom martial unit essentially. I could technically actually I think I might. I'm going to reset and give him a lance that he can use, and you'll see as proof how awesome he really is. But now let's get into the main focus of his skills. Eclipse can neutralize an enemy's defenses. And I'm back. Okay, so first things first. If y'all remember Luna, the new name for it is Eclipsed. If you remember the Imbue skill, you know that it's basically a renewal skill that's matched to his magic. Nihil is extremely useful in this circumstance. If he faces off against any enemy, it will actively negate it at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. Absolute negation. Comparatively, this is why I decided to have Pass, mainly because of the Black Knight. You're going to want him to be your shield, and therefore you may not want him to be fully equipped. On the other hand, you may want to make sure that he stays there and alive, because there could be a chance that he could die, essentially. Anyway, now, before I continue from here, I will unfortunately have to kind of reset here because I want to show something in the preparations. Alrighty. Now then, items. Right now, we have a javelin. You know, for the fuck of it, let's return to base. We're gonna make this motherfucker a lance. We'll name it after his skill, or rather, Luna. And because it's an iron lance, now that we got this out of the way, Sir Knight, how did you know I was in danger? That is not important right now. Are you injured? No, I'm all right. Stay by my side. I will not let them harm you. I know you won't. Thank you. See that? He can use lances. You can optionally give this to him. And look at that. 18 might versus this, 12 might. This might actually prove useful against them since he can pretty much tank everything. And you can pretty much camp out right here. I wanted that to be a critical. See that? He can equip. You can equip a lance to him, and there you go. Finish this motherfucker off. A weak ass weapon just pwned a motherfucker that easily. I really hope this one becomes a critical. Please. Fuck. Not a single one of them. Not a single critical. The good thing about equipping a javelin is that not only can it miss, but he won't counterattack, and that actually helps you out in the long run. Now here's a good example of his. See? I will be your shield. He's good at dodging. See that? 39. That's how well he can do. And here is a Luna. Will you survive? For anybody who understands. Hallelujah. Freaking blasted him out of the fucking air. Please be a crit. Please be a crit. Fuck. Okay. General Gerard, your occupation army has caused untold suffering to the people of Dan. The time has come. You must atone for your deeds. As if I should care one whit about the wretched worms I trample. Please crit, please crit. The worst part about this is that could have happened. Actually, don't fear for me, Sir Knight. I will fight beside you. Oh wow, you can't rescue her. That sucks. I see you're pretty impressed with yourself. Did you think the likes of you could be a worthy opponent for me? Know your place. I love that he's saying that with a lance and not his main weapon. Like, he's just not taking this seriously. Make your peace. This blow will be your end. How kind of you. That motion means he switched to his blade at that moment. Ugh. Alder, you! Why are you here? I'd rather fight beside my general than create a distraction with the other soldiers. You idiot! Who asked you to join me? General Gerard, you are a terror to work under. Even so, I've always sensed a kindred spirit in you. I will follow you and fight for you to the very gates of the abyss. He was a good soldier. What now? Why don't you kill me? My sword is not made for killing those who will not raise their weapons. You've got to be kidding me. Stop it, both of you. A man has died protecting you. Don't waste his sacrifice. This is not the end. No, it's not. You would simply let him go. He is not ours to judge. He belongs to the Apostle now. I suppose he must bury his fallen friend and pray before facing her. You have my thanks for saving me. There is no need for thanks. Micaiah, are you safe? You! Micaiah, run! Soth, it's okay. The knight just saved my life. Do you know who he is? Everyone knows who he is, Soph. The Black Knight. One of the 4 riders under King Ashnard and the strongest swordsman. Exactly. The scum that General Ike defeated in Nato's castle in Crimea 3 years ago. How can he be alive? You're correct, Soth. Ike did defeat me in that battle, in a fashion. But as you can see, I managed to escape. What do you want? For Dan to raise its banner as a kingdom once again. I came here to protect those who are necessary for that dream. Soth, General Drod was here a moment ago. If he hadn't stopped in, Drod would have killed me. What? I didn't see his corpse here. That means he's still alive, isn't he? Yes, there was another soldier who sacrificed his life protecting Gerard. I presume Gerard's burying him now. Oh. Oh no! What is it? I see a dark cloud. It's dimming the light of hope. By letting Gerard go, I may have allowed something terrible to happen. You aren't sure? Soth, I hadn't told you, but I haven't been feeling well lately. My mind feels foggy. Things I could always see clearly are now dim and vague. I may have committed us to an irreversible fate. I shall aid you. No matter what Gerard may plot, I will prevent it. Micaiah and I don't need your help. So stop that. In King Ashnard's war, you served below General Ike, and you and the Black Knight were enemies. But now you are comrades with the same goal, Dane's restoration. Listen to me. He was their strongest general. We need him. She's in the right in this case. Normally, I would probably put a pissy fit like South did. However, in this case, I actually agree with Micaiah. Even in a circumstance like this, I would actually listen to both of them, and I would agree with Micaiah. Especially since, in a circumstance like this, you're on Dane's side. You need him. However, you don't want him to be slaying all your enemies in the coming chapter. And trust me, there's more where that came from. I don't like this. Alrighty, we just completed chapter 9. And now, the final chapter. Part 1. Endgame. Daen Arise. In Navasa, the Daen capital, Benyon is attacking Navasa! My parents live there! They're too old and frail to defend themselves! Heartless murderer Gerard. He just wants us to suffer to the bitter end. Prince Peleus, we have to do something. We must liberate Navasa and save the people from this brutal attack. Is there no end to your lunacy? The Apostle's envoy is nearly here. Why be so rash when victory is so close? People are dying and Navasa has already suffered more than enough. Do you really... Even once the rightful king is crowned... Here we go. And then... What the... Even once they are crowned, the people will still await the approval of their precious priestess of dawn. Why, if we are not careful, some calculating wretches might decide they would rather see a priestess on the throne instead of a king. And once again, this country will be torn apart, all because of your glory-hounding disregard for our prince's command. Please, Azuka, Come to think of it, perhaps our priestess here was playing this all along, pretending to help the prince, when in truth she seeks to wear the crown herself. And this is one of my favorite quotes of the entire game. Stop your tongue, worm, or my knife will stop it for you. The only one who seems to be too hungry for power here is you. That's enough! Izuka, Micaiah does not deserve any such attack on her character. She is pure and noble, and I am inadequate. Have her actions poisoned your mind too? Since we met, Micaiah has led every battle, even joining the soldiers on the battlefield. Not so with me. I cannot defend my people. How could our people not rally around her? They see her fighting, throwing her lot in with her. They respect her. They said things cannot remain as they are. Izuka is right to worry about my standing. I need to earn the people's respect. Therefore, I must take action. Alrighty then. Here we go. Soldiers of the liberation, heed my words. I am Peleus. I'm just gonna say it right here. Adopted Prince of Dayan. Yes, we know who you are, my lord. We ought to know by now. It's at this moment that... Okay. Prince. He knows that everyone is distracted. So, what does the Black Knight do? Shut them up. He thrusts his sword into the ground as a statement to get their attention. This allows Peleus to speak. And so he begins. And so, beloved friends and comrades dear, with thanks to you, our capital lies close. And if we do not act, if we turn our back, the war still ends with our victors proud, and Dane's rule still falls to our hands. And if we choose to fight and free this town, we may enrage the Empire once again. Thus Dane's fortune turns to sour swift. But while I speak, Navasa's hardship grows. Our brothers suffer, our sisters die, and I cannot ignore this tragedy. No man can, and certainly no prince. I cannot look away when my people suffer. And so I ask you all, please, will you join me? King Peleus! King Peleus! Yeah, everyone is stamping their lances to the ground in respect. They walk up. Long live the prince. Long live Prince Peleus! Long live Dan! I love this scene because they're thrusting their swords and spears into the ground. Finally commanding authority. And now, I will go over in the next live stream. I will go over the the final chapter and how you should really prepare for all this. I'll even show off the info sections at that point. However, I will not do so at any other time. So, letting you guys know ahead of time, I will not be showing off the end game just yet. I will be waiting for that opportunity in the next live stream. I just wanted to finish this off today so that I could actually finish what I started earlier today. Anyway, with this out of the way, I would like to go forth and say that when I first saw this chapter, and when I first played it, oh my god, I had so much respect for Peleus because finally he took the action and decided to make himself known there. He finally got the people to trust him. With Zelgius's help, yes, I am spoiling it, he actually he got the respect he needed thanks to his authority, thanks to the others, and for taking action instead of doing nothing. It's really cool. I don't know if they showed this off earlier, but Peleus actually in one point I believe there's a point where Peleus marches off with his army and runs towards the capital. So yeah. Anyway, aside from that, I hope you all learned something new today as well as yesterday. And I'm sorry I couldn't complete this earlier today, but this is a one-time thing for now. If I do have to continue it, let's say next week or whatever, like I have to finish it on Sunday, then I will do so. However, just like the last part, I will wait until next week to do the final end game. And trust me, there is a lot to go over with this one. If you want to be prepared for the second and third parts, you need to know ahead of time. So I will be preparing full on this week for that, and I will hopefully get back to you soon. I will be posting an update, by the way, just in case you want to know, and it'll be my first ever video for this channel. So hope you have a great day, and see you at the